here is a script that I read and instantly knew was going to be special. It felt special. It felt like a story, a film noir that had a nostalgic feel to it, not just because it took place the late 80s, early 90s, but there was just something about it that don't quite see anymore in films these days. For me, this is unlike any other character I've played. So it was something that I was nervous about, and I think we as actors, we get excited when we get a bit nervous. Um, Something about the duality of having this job that can be so daunting emotionally and psychologically, and going home to a family where you are still have to be the father and the husband. And there was something in the challenge of that that I thought would be special, and it turned out to be just that. I sat down with Tim and Mitzi quite a bit and have been, you know, hounding them for information every single day. Um, yeah, I did the usual amount of research. I love doing research for every role that I take on, and of course, there's a wealth of information out there about what it is to be a detective. Well, there was no doubt in my mind that when you put Denzel and Jared into a room, there was going to be some fireworks, and that's exactly how it felt. It felt electric. It felt um, heavy in a very good way. It was tense. It was very conflicted, and I think what was very powerful is that there were so many emotions and feelings going on, and everyone attempting to repress all of that, which always makes for good storytelling. The shorthand between John Lee Hancock and John Schwartzman is incredible. They come in knowing the shots they need, the shots they want, the shots that will tell the story as powerfully and poignantly as possible. Baxter has one thing on his mind, and it is to not waste any time and to do everything humanly possible to find this killer. And as soon as he realizes that Denzel Washington's character, Joe Deacon, might be an obstacle, uh, I think he attempts to let him know that immediately. It doesn't have your typical Hollywood ending. And I think after reading this, I found myself returning to it in my mind. And I think that's exactly how audiences will feel. It's one that will last with you and have you questioning, um, your idea of how we look at people, how we look at criminals, how we look at ourselves, and what happens when we get extremely obsessed with something. Once I've developed a rapport with Denzel, I wanted to pick his brain about everything. So I would ask him question after question in the appropriate moments. But when you have someone there with this wealth of knowledge and experience, you want to soak it all up. And I tried my best to. I mean, Denzel is like Deke in a sense. He's very old school. Jared is like Sparma in a sense. He's very unpredictable. And the confluence of those things between two actors, three actors in a room makes for some electric performances. I think for Jim Baxter, the meaning of the little things is all about work, detail, investigating, putting all of these little puzzle pieces together. But ultimately, what it means for him by the end of the movie, that sense of perfection is unrealistic. the things that matter are love, friendship, family, and respect for oneself and respect for the people you come into contact with. As much as these two characters butt heads when we immediately meet them, you realize that they have so much in common. And underneath all of it is this perseverance and dedication to solve the crime. They want justice for these victims. They need it. It's something that if they don't have, I mean, it's almost like a drug for them. They keep going back to it, and they can't live without it. And there's something quite admirable about it, but there's also something sad and devastating. And these are the little lessons that are shared between the two men throughout until I think we come to this common understanding that, you know, sometimes you just can't solve everything, and it's not necessarily your responsibility. Well, Deke is definitely clouded by this air of trouble and a past that you're definitely aware haunts him and haunts the people around him. But I think there is something when you identify someone who's like-minded that you can't help but want to not only be around, but almost protect. And there's a sadness in him that I think Baxter recognizes, but at the same time, there is a level of commitment and dedication that I think he only recognizes in a few people, one of them being himself. It is a thriller. It's extremely psychological. It's fast-paced, it's exciting, it's entertaining. If you like this genre, I think this will be a very special film in that sense. But then it's so much more than that. And that's when you start digging into the layers of the film, which inevitably have, I think, profound messages. And yeah, just it's powerful.